What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Dispatch. This is the weekly live show I do every Sunday where I break down the most interesting headlines in the world of film and sometimes physical media. Um, so right out of the bat, or right off the bat here, folks, just gonna say this is a pretty slow news week. Not a ton of great things to talk about, and I also did forget that The Last of Us premieres tonight. So I am going to try to run through these pretty quickly. So just being totally transparent with you guys. Yeah, it's fortunate for me that it is such a slow news week, um, especially after the massive news week that was CinemaCon 2 weeks ago. So yeah, let's just jump right into it, guys. First thing we got here, Jessica Roth and Christopher Landon have revealed that Happy Death Day 3 is now moving forward. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this, so very excited for them. I enjoy the first two Happy Death Day movies. I think they're fun. I especially prefer the first one. The second one got a little more like sci-fi-y than I would have liked, but this is cool. I'm glad. I'm happy for them because they did always intend for it to be a trilogy. I remember hearing him say that. So yeah, and Christopher Landon seems like a good dude. So I'm glad that they're going to be able to go back and complete the trilogy. It'll be fun to see how faithfully they're able to kind of recreate the environments, because they kind of nailed it in the second one, because the whole movie's about like repeating the same day over and over again, and you got to assume that they're going to repeat that they're going to carry that through with the third one. So that's exciting. Definitely we'll check that out. We got our first trailer for The Phoenician Scheme, the new Wes Anderson movie. I'm going to be honest. I watched some of this trailer, but I didn't even feel. I literally turned the trailer off halfway through because I felt like I've already seen this trailer. And Wes Anderson is someone who really is like hit or miss for me. Some of his movies I really connect with. Moonrise Kingdom, Darjeeling Limited, Grand Budapest Hotel, all really good. And then other movies, it smells like he's the movies, like they kind of smell like he's starting to sniff his own farts a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. Like they, like French Dispatch didn't connect with me. Asteroid City really didn't connect with me. So like, this could go 50-50. But the thing is, like, I'm just not terribly excited. I'm going to see this movie, and there's a good chance I might love it. But Wes Anderson is so samey. Like, he really is. It's hard to get it. For me, it's hard to get excited about his movies because they all feel so similar. And, I know that directors have their style and what they're known for, and like that's a good thing, right? In the case of Wes Anderson, his style is so distinct that it's like it's hard. Like I feel like I'm not gonna be surprised by any decision he ever makes on a story level, especially certainly not on a filmmaking level. He's so in his own sandbox that it's like, and it's odd to me because I feel like that would get boring after a while. Like as a creative, I would hate to make things the same way every time. And I know that this is a really reductive way of talking about his movies, but it's just how it feels for me as an audience member. So yeah, it is what it is. Moving on. So Michael, I think they spelled his name wrong here. I think it's Sarnowski, not Saronsky. Yeah. So Michael Sarnowski, I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce it, is set to direct the live action Death Stranding movie for A24 and Hideo Kojima. And he previously did Quiet Place Day 1 and Pig, both of which are good movies, especially Pig. I really like Pig a lot. Great movie. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this guy's 2 for 2. This feels like a good gig for him. I've never played Death Stranding. I hear it's basically a walking simulator, but it's supposedly got a lot more going on than that. But that's just kind of what everyone sort of reduces it down to. The internet loves to deal in hyperbole, And but it feels like it's a very different kind of game, and it does interest me on that level. So maybe one day I will play it for like the PS5 or something. But I'm glad that they're making a movie. It seems like it's well suited for a movie. I hear it's very narrative driven and very dialogue heavy. Lots and lots of cutscenes, so it feels like it's tailor made for a movie. And Hideo Kojima is just the man, so it's cool to see him getting to work in like a big studio thing. I don't think he's ever done this before. I think he's mostly just been limited to like video games and stuff. Excuse me. If he does have any movie credits, I'm not aware of them. But yeah, I'm excited for this. This should be very interesting. A couple things on Eddington. It's expected. This is a new Ari Aster film for those who don't know. It's expected to premiere at the 2025 Cannes Film Festival. So for a while we had only had this image right here with like the film slate and stuff. So yeah, we got that update, and then we got a poster. It's a pretty cool poster. Here it is right here. Hindsight is 2020. And yeah, Eddington. Very cool poster, very thought-provoking. Tagline, hindsight is 2020. Apparently this is a movie that is like set during the pandemic, which I hear that 99% of the time, and I'm like, oh, great. Because it feels, 99% of the time, it's just people trying to capitalize on something that's topical. But in the case of Ari Aster, I really, especially since 2020 was obviously 5 years ago, so in this particular case, it feels as though he's trying to, he's actually got something to say, and there's a reason for it, and it's not just because it's topical. So I trust Ari Aster. I love Hereditary. I like Midsommar. I'm very intrigued by Beau is Afraid. It's a movie that I really should probably rewatch at some point. But the guy just makes interesting stuff, and I'm glad to see that, he doesn't seem terribly interested in making like an out-and-out horror film again. I feel like he kind of used that to kind of get his foot in the door, and after Midsommar, people were like, oh, this guy's the horror guy. But he's actually interested in a lot more than that. So it's cool to see him getting to branch out. I would like to selfishly see him do another horror movie again in the future, but whenever that happens, it'll happen, I guess. So that's it for Eddington. This is like a rumor. Yeah, from Sean Fennessy. This is just a rumor, but apparently we had talked about the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel last week. That's happening at Netflix from David Fincher. And apparently people should think of it more so as the further adventures of Cliff Booth rather than a direct sequel to the events of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is kind of what I assumed it would be anyway. But I feel like this is just to kind of clarify for anyone who might be confused. And the film takes place in 1977. When does Once Upon a Time? I should know this. It's in the 1960s. Yeah, 1969. So quite some time after the fact. So this will be an older Cliff Booth. And Rick Dalton, one would assume, as well. So yeah, and like 1977, that brings up a lot of potential like backdrops, like what's going on in the zeitgeist in 1977, right? So you think of 1969, obviously that was, the moon landing, the Sharon Tate thing. So there's a lot of social, cultural things going on that are sort of the backdrop for the events. So with 1977, I mean, what's like the big cultural thing in 1977? I couldn't tell you. I was not a twinkle in my father's eye yet. So off the top of my head, I can't think of anything noteworthy, but I'm sure there's plenty to really set the stage for an interesting hangout movie, which is basically what Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is. It's a hangout movie with just ultimate great vibes, and the plot kind of all happens right at the end. is how I look at it, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. I really like that movie. Moving on. I really am trying to make this a quick one, guys. I forgot that Last of Us 2 comes out tonight, and I want to try to do a video on each episode, like weekly reviews of that. So I need to get to that as soon as I can. So sorry, guys, bear with me here. It's going to be a shorter episode, just so you know. But anyway, A24 is currently in negotiations for the rights to remake Bloodsport, which is a sick-ass Jean-Claude Van Damme movie from the 80s that I really recommend if you guys haven't seen it. Super badass movie. Very curious to see what an A24 version of that looks like. I feel like they probably just strip away all of the sort of cheesiness of the 80s and just make a movie about a straight up, because Bloodsport is about like a martial arts tournament where, like, if I'm pretty sure if you lose, you die. It's been probably like 10 years since I've seen Bloodsport, but I'm pretty sure it's basically like Mortal Kombat, but without like superpowers. So I'm assuming that it's going to be just that basically, but without any of the 80s, because there's some goofiness in Bloodsport. Let's be honest. But yeah, I'm all in. Based on this, right? I could never know the stars, the director, anything. No trailer, no images. I would see just A24 Bloodsport. I would definitely be down for that. Moving on, we got the first trailer for the animated Predator movie, releasing June 6th on Hulu. I'm not going to watch this. The trailer, that is. I will watch this movie for sure. But again, it's like they're going to Hulu with this one, but the live action stuff gets to go to theaters. I don't know. I feel like this would do well in theaters too. Maybe not, though. Maybe not. But yeah. Also, we talked about it last week, but there has been an update on the Predator Badlands movie, which will be going to theaters because they learned their lesson from Prey, which is a beloved movie now. I think it's probably not too early to say that, right? I feel like people pretty universally all in on Prey, at least in the circles that I'm in. But yeah, I mean, I skipped around a little bit. Oh, it's from the director of Prey too. So he's doing this and Predator Badlands? That's kind of sick. What is this, like World War II? It's kind of dope. I don't know. New Predator stuff is good. We had a drought of Predator for a while, so I'm glad we're getting all this new Predator content. This is like, I added this actually because I just thought it was kind of funny. First look at Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. in the new I Know You Did Last Summer movie. Yep, that's them. They have aged well. I will agree with that. But it's like, this is such a this is like not even a head. Like, yeah, we knew what these people looked like before, though. It's not like we haven't seen them since 99 or whenever this movie, the first one, came out, right? Like, we know what they look like. So I don't know. It's just funny to me that this is news. So got a rumor that Robert Pattinson might be in Dune 3 in a leading role, which feels appropriate. I feel like he was kind of the only one missing from that cast, like as far as like his colleagues and his peers and stuff. What's up, Holland? How you doing, man? This feels like a perfect fit, honestly. Like, you've got Austin Butler in there. Excuse me. You had Austin Butler, I should say. You got Timothée Chalamet. When I think of young, although I suppose Robert's probably like mid-30s now, but like when I think of the young up-and-coming guys, definitely Rob. Rob's not so much up-and-coming anymore, but he's in that crop of like younger talent. So I'm really excited at the prospect of him being in this. And then we got a further update on this, and apparently he would be playing the villain Skytail. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. So seeing him in a villain role opposite Timothée Chalamet in the Dune world, I mean, shit, man. This seems like a slam dunk. So I'm all in on that. And let's see what else. We're moving right along, guys. There's not a ton to talk about this week. I don't know who this girl is, Summer H. Howell. I've never seen anything she's been in. Apparently, she's in the talks. So last week we talked about a rumor that Millie Shapiro from Hereditary was in talks to play to play Carrie in Mike Flanagan's TV series, which I thought would have been perfect. She actually is more accurate to the description of Carrie in the books, but all the film adaptations seem intent on casting just like, I don't know how you'd put it, moderately attractive, like skinny girls. Like Carrie's supposed to be a little chubby, and like no offense to Millie Shapiro, but she kind of fits that bill. So that's why that would have been, and she's a great actress as well, right? So it's like no personal sort of failing. Like I'm all for accurate casting is kind of what I'm talking about, and I thought that was a good idea, but apparently they're just going with this girl instead. So yeah, I don't know. It's still probably going to be great. Mike Flanagan has never really missed as far as I'm concerned. New trailer for Marshmallow, which apparently is out now, but it's not playing in any theaters near me. It seems to be a low budget thing. Original sci-fi horror film that recently won Best Picture at Panic Fest. Best Feature, excuse me. So I'll be looking out for this whenever it hits VOD, I guess, because it's not coming anywhere near me. Friday the 13th vibes. Yeah, I thought I heard this was like a camp slasher movie as well. Which is interesting. Like right after Hell of a Summer has just recently come out. So yeah, keep an eye out for this. If you're a horror fan, put this on your radar because I'm hearing good things about it. Blackberry's Matt Johnson, this fellow right here, is being eyed to direct the Magic the Gathering movie for Hasbro and Legendary. There had been talks about a Magic the Gathering movie going back all the way to the 90s. I'm a big Magic the Gathering fan. I've played Magic the Gathering since like 2014. A lot of you probably don't know that about me. I don't really talk about it on YouTube or anything. Love Magic the Gathering. There's a lot of lore. The game's like over 30 years old at this point, I think. And it's still being like, there's still new sets being released of it every year. And in a post Barbie world, in a post Minecraft movie world, the idea for a Magic the Gathering movie, we've probably never been in a better time for a Magic the Gathering movie. I feel like, it was more popular probably 10 years ago, Magic in general, but they're also doing a lot of these like tie-ins, like they did the Lord of the Rings tie-in where they actually had the One Ring and then some guy opened it and sold it to like Post Malone. So like I feel like his Post Malone's involvement in Magic culturally has kind of maybe made it a little bit more relevant. So I mean, Magic's definitely big right now. They're doing all those tie-ins, like those secret layer things where it's like Transformers cards and Walking Dead cards and the Lord of the Rings stuff, like I mentioned. So and this guy, I'm pretty sure he did Blackberry. And I was going to say I thought he was the Dungeons and Dragons guy, but I think that's a different group of people. But yeah, I Blackberry's great. I loved Blackberry. So he's probably a good fit. I'd be surprised if he hasn't played Magic before. He just kind of has that look to him, you know. I don't mean to generalize, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I feel like they could do this reasonably well. There's a lot of stories that you could tell. And I feel like a lot of it's pretty well suited for a movie. So it would be cool. I would wonder though if it's like, are people playing the card game in the movie? Or because the card game is depicting a story, right? There's a whole story that runs through it. So I would be wondering myself if the movie will just be telling that story or if they would somehow work in the fact that people are playing this story through the cards, right? I don't know if that makes sense to anyone who's not a Magic player, but it probably does. But you know what I'm saying. So there's a couple different routes they could go with it. Excuse me, guys. But I'll definitely watch that for sure. May Calamaui Maui has been cast in Lee Cronin's The Mummy movie, coming out next year. Lee Cronin did Evil Dead Rise, which I thought was really good. I've come down a little bit on it since seeing it. Still a good movie though. And The Mummy in 1999 is without a shred of irony one of my favorite movies ever made. I love The Mummy. I think it's a masterpiece. So, you know, it can't be worse than the Tom Cruise one, right? So, yeah, I'm excited for a Mummy movie from Lee Cronin. I don't know who this girl is, though. I've never really heard of her. But we are getting a new Mummy movie, and that's, to me, the big takeaway from this article. I had heard about this previously, but never with any kind of... This has been the most recent update about it, so... I'm assuming she'll be in some sort of supporting role, if not the lead. She could be the lead. I don't know. Mummies historically have had male leads, so we'll see what they do with that. The Oscars will finally introduce a Best Stunts category beginning next year. So, or maybe the following year. The Oscars are always like weird with the way they are named. The naming convention is weird, but regardless, we're getting a Best Stunts category, which feels like a long time coming. Like movies like John Wick or something like The Fall Guy, movies that are not without merit, but without something like a Best Stunts category would never even be recognized by the Oscars because they're not winning. These are action movies, right? They're not getting performance Oscars or performance recognition. But by adding this, then you'll be able to expand the umbrella of movies that get recognition at the Oscars that much more to include this whole other breadth of action movies that otherwise would get overlooked when it comes to awards. And these guys, they make these action movies. Like, they are the secret ingredient. The stuntmen and stuff. So getting to see like a bunch of different stuntmen come up on stage and accept an award, like that would just be super cool. That'd be wholesome as hell. So I'm all for this. Yeah, Tom Cruise. I mean, fucking A. How could I forget Tom Cruise? All those Mission Impossible movies. Like, that would be dope to see Mission Impossible getting Oscar love. That would be sick. We're coming up on the end, guys. Like I said, definitely a slow news week, and I am going a little bit quicker just because I do need to go and watch The Last of Us. So forgive me. Plus, I'm also coinciding with The Last of Us. I'm actually surprised that there's as many of you in here right now as there are. But yeah, Beetlejuice 3 is in the works. This is a big wet fart for me. This does nothing for me. I didn't even see the second one. Never been the biggest Beetlejuice fan, though. So, yeah, definitely don't feel like we need a third, but I guess the second one made enough money, and Warner Brothers is creatively bankrupt, so. Apparently, there was a Tomb Raider series in development for years. 3 years, to be precise. It says it right here. From Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who... many of you might know most from either Fleabag or Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So, yeah, they announced, and this is a testament to the climate we're in right now, where things will be announced, and people are like, "Yo, I'm so excited for this thing that's been announced." But it's like the amount of things. I would love if someone made a graph of all the things that are announced on a yearly basis, and how many of those things actually ever get made. Because nowadays it feels like shit is being announced left and right, and then half of it never comes to fruition. So I personally don't get excited for shit until we see trailers, because things are so much more liable to get derailed. And the other problem is this is indicative of a larger issue where everything is so online. Like back in the 90s and shit, in like the 2000s, we were not privy to every single step of a movie's production, right? Like nowadays you go on fucking Twitter like discussing film, like, which, you know, I use a lot for my news updates, so maybe I'm part of the problem, but we are just made aware of so many things. Like this movie's been in production, this same movie's greenlit, this movie's filming, the movie's wrapped. Like we are aware of everything. This movie's getting reshoots, like, you know. So it's like, don't announce shit until it's being made, like legitimately. So yeah, just something I thought was interesting. Yeah. All right, guys, last thing. We're coming up on just under 30 minutes here, so shorter episode here today. Warner Brothers confirms that Drew Goddard is developing a new Matrix movie. He's the guy who did The Martian, Cabin in the Woods, and Daredevil. I never saw Matrix Resurrections, which is the most recent one they did with Keanu. I heard it was pretty divisive. But like for the most part, not great. So, but again, Warner Brothers, dude, they are creatively bankrupt. Well, Restless, what's up, man? Yeah, I mean, I like Cabin in the Woods, but I feel like Joss Whedon deserves some more of the credit on that, right? What he might have just been a producer, though. I don't know how actively Joss was a part of that. But yeah, man, Warner Brothers is bankrupt creatively, and I've never heard of this movie. Is this a movie? Stay tuned. Never heard of it. I don't know. I still like Cabin in the Woods, though. I'll look into this thing. I'll look into Stay Tuned, though. I've never heard of that. But you know, anyway, yeah, Warner Brothers bankrupt creatively. They are doing Beetlejuice. They're dragging up The Matrix. I'm sure they'll try to throw a bucket of money at Keanu. Cool movie where the devil uses TV channels and tropes to get souls. John Ritter is in it. That's cool. I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of a stinker to end on, but I just kind of add these things chronologically throughout the week, and this is where we landed. So, yeah, this is all we know about it. We don't know if Keanu's back. Doesn't seem like the Wachowskis are back. So, yeah. And that's it, guys. That's it for this week. Quicker episode. Sorry if you guys felt like I was rushing it. I kind of am, because I do need to go get to The Last of Us and try to get a review out for that. Yeah, I don't think it did either, but like Warner Brothers is just so desperate, I guess. And yeah, the first one is far and away the best. No one really seemed to even like 2 and 3. And those are like the original trilogy. Excuse me, guys. Thanks, Holland. Appreciate it. Last thing I will end on, bit of channel news, I guess. The Silent Hill video was released of all its copyright issues. I was able to get it figured out. It's up on the channel now, unedited the way I wanted it to be, so you guys can watch it if you like. But don't feel obligated. Watch it if you like Silent Hill. That's kind of who it's made for, right? But if you want to check it out, you can. I think that all the copyright shit really killed any trajectory or momentum it was going to have. So like it's got less than 100 views. And I spent a lot of work on that one. So, I mean, it is what it is, but, not much I can do about it. I'm glad that it's up and people who want to watch it can find it and can watch it. So it is what it is. It was a learning experience. I know kind of maybe what not to do, what studios to be wary of when using their footage. So how to deal with appeals and copyright. I've learned a little bit about it now. So yeah, whenever, man, whenever you can, you certainly don't even have to, but I would appreciate it for sure. And leave a comment if you do watch it, because it helps with the engagement and stuff. So, all right, guys. hopefully this wasn't too rushed for you guys, but I'm only human trying to make this happen every week. Sometimes things get in the way. So I appreciate as many of you guys being here. As I said, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next week. And keep an eye out for my Last of Us review. I'm going to be reviewing every episode, as they air for the next 7 weeks. So I think that'll be a fun little thing for me to do. I've never done anything like that before. So yeah. All right, guys. So with all that being said, please take care and watch more movies.